Good evening. Welcome again to Crossing the Line on another Thursday evening. We are happy to be here. We are happy to always to share with you, to hear from you, and to make sure that our Thursday nights are well spent.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And again, we are indeed happy to be in your presence. We're indeed happy to connect with you. And those of you connecting with us on Facebook Live, on Abundant Life Radio, 103.1 FM in Barbuda, 103.9 FM in Antigua, we're indeed privileged to have you. We're also broadcasting live on our various pages. We're broadcasting live on our personal pages, Roxanne's page, my page, and also we're broadcasting live on Crossing the Line. So as you come in, share the broadcast, share the program with someone, call them, tell them that we're on the line and we're rearing and ready to go. But we always need to get a bit of a housekeeping out of the way. So here's the little thing today. Today I had well, of course, most of you know that I did some dental work, and I felt a little bit of foreign object peeping through my gum, and I went to I don't think my comment section is up, so I'll bring up my comments because I think a couple of people already came in. So I went to what? Huh?
We have not seen anything crossing the line.
No, I'm seeing somebody. I hope that's not. Anyway, yeah. So I went to the dentist today, and when I went to the dentist, I had the dentist said to me, "Well, he's gonna check to see what's going on because I felt this little thing." And when I heard him said, "Give me a little bit of anesthetic," I was like, "Oh my God, not this again!" Because when they start choke your problems. Anyway, he came in and they did the anesthetic, and then of course my face started to get numb, and then they start to fight with my mouth and all kind of drama. I tell you, like, I don't know where in the place of society dentists fall, but dentists, I have a good dentist. I'm not gonna say
Well, I have seen from the front and the back, being in a dental shop for a little while.
oh
So I
man.
am so afraid.
And especially when they start a wing, that zinging, and that you see they start to fight with you. I listen. I think my worst experience was when I took out a wisdom tooth, and they asked me, they said, you want us to sleep your way or you want to stay awake? And I said, look, I'm going to stay awake. I think I'm good. And listen, they took about 3 or 4 hours in my mouth. I mean, they rocked me, they banged me. I mean, when I was finished, my neck and
The thing about that now, when I came home from work, Josiah said to me, Daddy's not feeling well. So I said, how you know that? He said, he's lying on the bed crossway. So it's like, that was like the worst thing.
yeah, that is, I mean, they know that I'm not sick, so they know but um sometimes some things are necessary. Sometimes you have to go through these things, and what you gonna do. Tiffany, good evening. Natasha and Casmin. I see Casmin is attempting to wake up Elkie and so on. So I want to thank those of you who are online. So let's go.
Yep. We have a topic that we want to talk about that it's like, kind of like the hallmark of why Crossing the Line was created.
Mm,
Because there's some topics that, especially in Christendom, we don't talk about. Nobody want to talk about it. And the thing is that we always find strange is that God created sex. between husband and wife.
Mm.
But in Christendom, for some reason, when we talk about it, it's like, oh, don't talk about that. I remember the first time we came on and we spoke about it, and we spoke about things that are necessary and so on. And somebody met us and said, um, it was good, but I think you're a little bit too graphic. And we're like, with what?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why we started and we named our program Crossing the Line, because one of the things that I observe in Christendom, growing up in church, is that when you're growing up in church, everybody expects you to get married, but they don't expect you to talk to nobody. Everybody expects you to get children, but they don't expect you to talk about sex. So we said, look, without even getting to the point whereby you get you go overboard, because you can get to the point whereby you go overboard. This is something that needs to be talked about, and tonight we're going to dig a bit deeper. We're going to read some excerpts from some persons that have written, some well-learned persons. We're also going to read some excerpts from the Bible that advocates, that advocates for sex, and this I know it's an uncomfortable topic. In my job as a master of ceremony at weddings, whenever I start my introduction, I would say to them in the introduction, listen, I know normally when persons come up and persons say, well, look, I wish you all success, I wish you all happiness, I wish you all a long life. And when I start by saying, I wish you all success, I wish you all health, I wish you all success, I wish you all wealth, and I also wish you all a good sex life. And at that point, you hear,
yes.
And you, like, I suck the wind out of the room. It's like, how dare you talk about sex? It's...
The thing is, if we don't talk about it and we need help, then we don't get help.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to touch it. I remember growing up, as a young Christian, because I got saved at a young age. And even like in my teenage years, like, let's say you some young guy is trying to trouble you and that kind of thing, and you don't want to go and talk to anybody because you know that it's so taboo. It's like you don't even want to say, this person like me, what should I do? Because automatically you don't want to be branded as, oh, you're doing something, that kind of thing. So it's scary even for the young people to come to us to say, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm feeling, because it's like nobody want to talk about it. I don't understand why we don't want to talk about it.
In the book of Second Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 6, and I want to set this as our platform because, of course, we are a Christian program, and I want to set this as a platform. In the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 2 Corinthians 7 and verse 2, it says, but because of the temptation of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. The husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, and this is the part of the scripture that I like, and the church say amen. The wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body. I don't want authority over it. No, I don't want to have authority. Roxanne, take it, man. Take it. You have authority over it. You do what you want. You do what you want with it, Roxanne. Likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. And I sure most of the men will say, yes, amen. You take authority over my body. Do not deprive one another. Do not deprive one another. And when the Bible says do not deprive one another, don't, and we're going to dig a bit deep into that do not deprive, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time. It must be an agreement between the two of you. and it must be about for a limited time, that you may devote yourself to prayer. But then again, then come together again. Then when you're done, have sex again. That's what the Bible is saying.
Yep.
So
you can't get it any clearer.
You can't get it any clearer than that. All right, so we're gonna dig a bit deep, and we're gonna talk about some of the reasons why persons don't enjoy sex, and it's gonna go along the same line along the whole Christian thing. And there's an excerpt that I want to read from a book that I want to share a bit more, that we want to share a bit more with you. Good night, Charlene and Sherilyn. I see you there. Carissa, I see you peeping. And Cheryl.
Good night, Shane.
Shane, good evening. Welcome. Y'all don't stay silent on me. I know that when these programs are on you just have a lot of peeping.
Yes.
And not much talking. Casmin, don't let cat have your tongue. Y'all throw in. Let's communicate. For those of you on Abundant Life Radio, you know how it is that what we do. If you have a question, if you have a comment, you can send it to our respective phones: 464-1636, 764-2639. We're not advanced to the call-in sections yet, but we're going to do that very soon. So that's for those of you on Abundant Life Radio. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, so the bottom line is sex was created by God. That is the bottom line before anything else. So us thinking it's dirty is just the way I think society made it. I think it's the way, our parents made it seem. So sex was made to be enjoyed, and there are times when we don't enjoy sex, and we're going to look at some of the reasons tonight. One of them is we don't have proper communication. So we're not communicating to our spouse our desires. A lot of times you hear this term Christian sex. And Christian sex basically is like, the simplest form of everything. But there are times when you talk to couples who have been married for a while, and they're saying stuff like, my partner don't do this, or my partner don't do this way. But the question is, did you communicate that to your partner? Did you have a conversation with them saying, this is what I like, this is what I don't like? The worst thing you want to have happening is your partner, in your sex life, your partner doing something, or you're both engaging in something, and it's not pleasurable for you. But you're not saying anything because in your mind, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I don't want to, let them feel bad. But at the end of the day, you have to work towards bettering your relationship. And by communicating exactly what your needs are, what you don't like, what you like, and so on, it promotes for healthier sex life in your relationship.
I've heard a lot of comments along the line of, and especially with the older folks that I have been, I've grown up with in church, and I've heard the talk that, okay, well, it is my duty. This is my duty to do, so I carry out my duty. So it gets to the point whereby in a relationship, you just have one satisfied party in that relationship. So there's no newness. It's like the same old. The husband comes in, and this is what he wants, and this is what he's going to get, and I am doing my duty. I have to make sure that he gets taken care of, is the saying. And that comes to the point whereby the woman, or even to an extent the man, has not explored the joys, the highs of sex, has not explored the adventure of sex, based on the fact that you are saying, okay, well, look, this is my duty, this is my chore, I feel locked in this position, and I am going to do it just because I want to save the marriage. It happens so that, and one of the things that we've spoken about on this program on a regular basis, it happens so that when you have a situation whereby one party goes out of the relationship and experience something different, then you have an issue there. So for whatever the reason is, we have to remove that situation whereby we're saying, okay, well, I am doing it as my duty. And as Roxanne said earlier, make sure that that communication is clear between you and your partner as to what is liked and what is not liked.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact statistic. I was trying to look for it, but there is I heard of a statistic some years ago where they said the average Christian couple have sex twice a week or 3 times a week. And it goes right back to the points that we are talking about tonight. Like, why? Why? Because as a matter of fact, a lot of people say, listen, I prefer to just stay unmarried because it seems like I enjoy myself better. Because when you get married, it's like, that is the statistic.
But we said twice a week, do a little bit.
Of course.
And 3 times
It's
a week.
7 days a week.
Okay.
So what's going on them all them other days?
Tired. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and one of the reasons was that, let me tell you something. There are times when we talk about, just like James said, we get too busy. We're too busy with work. We're too busy with everything else, and that is just pushed aside. And a lot of times, somebody in the relationship is crying out, saying, "Listen." And most times, it's the man, because a lot of times, as women, we get so caught up sometimes with, family issues and so on, that we a lot of times are the ones, saying, not tonight, I'm tired and whatever, and then one partner is suffering in the relationship.
I wanna point to something, and I want to read something, because I don't want you to think that we're just talking about something. When we myself and Roxanne started the code, somebody gave us a book, and it was an old book, beaten up, and we kind of kept it in the best way possible, but it has some really, really good nuggets. The amazing part of it, that when I was looking through this book was written since 1974. So you see the situations that were taking place since then. So one of the verses, or one of the chapters in here is entitled "The Unfulfilled Woman," and it says here, this book is called "The Act of Marriage," and it was written by Tim and Beverly LaHaye. And this book was a bomb. This book helped us. This book helped us so much. And that's why I said when I read 2 Corinthians chapter 7, and I said, look, the wife's body is not hers, the husband's body is not his. I tell you, like, in our relationship with me and Roxanne, me don't want my body. What me gonna do with my body? I said, Roxanne, you know, like, the way you want to do, So it says here, Karen, a lovely 29-year-old mother of 3, came for counseling. She was obviously distressed. Pastor, I really love my husband, but lately I've noticed that my resentment towards him is growing something fierce. If something doesn't happen pretty soon, I'm going to end up hating him. Although it was hard for her to express it, she finally admitted that the problem occurred, it concerned their love life. He is the only one who gets satisfaction out of it, she said. I've always considered myself an affectionate woman, and I have rarely refused to make love to him. But just about the time I really get excited, he comes inside of me and it's all over. He flops over on the side of the bed and falls sound asleep. And that's when I get mad. It takes me over an hour to unwind and enough to go to sleep. He said I must be frigid. Karen was anything but frigid. Like many other unfulfilled wives, she knew very little about sex. Much of her information was wrong. Unfortunately, her husband Jeff knew less than she did. Without the benefit of premarital counseling and limiting their sex education to birth control, these 2 Christian young people had entered marriage with a naive idea that their love was so powerful that everything will just work out naturally. And it comes to our next point, the unfulfilled woman. And again, Roxanne spoke about the statistics, but when you would have done the statistics and when you would have talked to women, there are women out there that have never gone through, had an orgasm experience in their life. And you have a situation whereby you're getting married, and I am speaking with church folks now. You're getting married, and there is no one that is saying to a young couple, this is what to expect. Because if we are to understand, well, look, we're going to say, okay, well, we don't want any premarital sex. We're going to take it that two persons are coming into marriage with little or no sexual experience at all. You're looking at a recipe to disaster if there is nothing going on behind the line with regards to romance and intimacy. And I've always made the point whenever we're talking to couples and we're talking to them about the whole concept of a woman and a man, and I could only bring it in the terms of a motor vehicle. And for those of my mechanic friends that are on would understand, a gasoline engine takes the combustion is very fast because it runs from a spark plug to gasoline. All it takes is a spark and that's it. A diesel engine now takes compression. It takes a long time to build up, but a diesel engine is much more powerful than a gasoline engine. A man is a gasoline engine and a woman is a diesel engine. A woman takes a long time to get warmed up, but when she gets warmed up, she's a powerhouse. And whereas a man, he gets a spark and that's it. And like I just read in this book, he is over and he is falling asleep. So when you get to the point whereby you get to sexual relations between a husband and a wife, a woman has to be warmed up. And that is the bottom line. And if a woman is not warmed up, then it comes a situation whereby she will be unfulfilled, just like I just read from this excerpt.
Yes, and the thing is too, what we need to understand, even as James talked about having to be warmed up, it doesn't start in the bedroom. A lot of times, especially for men tend to think that it's just in the bedroom, and then they complain, oh, my wife, she's always tired, or she don't give me this and she don't do that. But the wife is looking for something, as James said, the diesel engine. The diesel engine might start by you coming home and getting dinner started. Honey, what are you cooking? Take something out of the fridge, doing something, helping the kids with the homework, do things beforehand that makes it easier for her, you know, to be less tired.
To prime shop, if so to speak.
Yes.
Yes.
So you can't wait until you just come home from work and, oh, we're ready. That's not how it works. So then you're going to have a situation where you have an unfulfilled wife there. And even as the excerpt that James read, I am wondering to myself if she said that to him. Did he say that she discussed it with him?
No, they didn't have a discussion, because the thing is, they just get married and they just tell themselves, it's like it says, they just think to themselves that sex will come naturally. This is going to be a natural thing. We're going to go in and we're going to get activated and so on, and then that's it. But then that does not happen in real life. And the stimulation, like Roxanne says, does not start in the bedroom. The stimulation starts outside of the bedroom. You can imagine a woman comes home from work, and in our society now, the woman is working 9 to 5 just as the man. So a woman comes home from work, she comes home to meet the dishes in the sink. She comes home, dinner, everybody's waiting for dinner. She has homework with the children to do. So you're there now, relaxing, lying down, watching TV or doing whatever. And this woman is going non-stop since she came home. And then let's say she finished everything that she's doing, maybe 9, 10 o'clock. And you're now saying, oh, come. You know, so you cannot be upset with her because of the fact that she genuinely can be tired and exhausted mentally as well. And she's not in that space to have sex. Because
so all of these things we have to take into consideration.
because one of the things, and I often say to Roxanne, I said, look, with a man, I mean, you don't even have to say sex. You just have this, and he is ready.
Yeah.
He is ready. But again, and I'm going to come back to our whole engine concept. There is a terminology in diesel engines when they said the diesel engine gets an airlock. The diesel engine gets an airlock when the diesel engine runs out of diesel. Whenever the diesel engine runs out of diesel, it cannot start just like that. You notice when them golf carts run out of gas, we just pour in gas and just mash and it go? No, that's not a diesel engine. Diesel engine gets an airlock. It means that air is built up between where the engine is collecting the fuel and where the fuel is coming from. So that airlock now would cause that engine not to start. And like Makisa said, if she is not primed, sex becomes a duty. You have to prime the pump. You have to prime the pump. And when I was a mechanic, like literally there was a primer that you have to keep priming and priming and priming. Someday you get tired. You ask somebody to come and help priming and priming and priming. So once that space is filled, once that gap is filled and that airlock is pushed out, then is when the engagement comes between the engine and the fuel, and then it starts to move. And that's it. So just like the diesel engine, you have to make sure that the woman is good. Because if a woman is all flustered, if a woman is all worked up and so on, and you understand from the concept, once the woman shuts down there, she shuts down there. And that's it.
And that starts a whole big argument.
You understand me?
Cheryl said you sound like a mechanic.
Yes, Cheryl. As a matter of fact, I am a mechanic. I am a trained mechanic. So that's why I could explain it in those terms, you know. Casmin said Roxy feels like she remembering things.
I'm always remembering things.
Yes.
And the thing is, too, I wanted to point out before we go ahead, because we talk about not enough sex.
Yes.
But we want to talk about too much as well, even in this, because that too can become monotonous. You know, we have situations where couples will say to us, listen, my husband wants sex like twice a day, 3 times a day, and so on. And, you know, he's not understanding that I have to work and so on. So we want to watch the overboard on the other side as well. When it's like too much, so it becomes, there's no spice in it anymore. There's nothing to look forward to. It's just something that you're doing until there's no life left in it.
Well,
we have to look at that as
I
well.
hope you're not talking to Sharon's husband. Sharon says her husband is unfulfilled because he don't get sex 7 times a week. So I hope.
No, I'm talking about 5 times a day.
Yeah, but the I mean, Roxanne said it in the best possible way. Sex should be, as I've always said, sex should be a treat. Sex should be a dessert. Sex should be after the main course. The main course, again, is you making sure that all the different things are taken care of in the home, making sure that she comes home and making sure that she is all set and she's all good and so on. And I would tell you, I'm speaking from experience because I do my homework. That's why, Casmin, you could see Roxanne glowing so much because, you know, I take her to the king often.
You see, Casmin, now go back to what he said the other night. So he contradicted himself. Shane says, send her text during the day, take her for a nice lunch, clean the house, take care of the children when you get home, then make sure she gets a nice bath to relax. Then the engine go primed up and ready to go.
Yeah,
Shane, you got it right.
Shane, I see you doing your homework.
Shane, you got it right.
So Raymond say, when she come home, sit and ask her about her day, relax her, massage her feet, take away. Look, listen, them boys making me proud, man.
Yes.
Y'all boys making me proud. A woman
want to know that you are concerned about everything about her.
Mm-hmm.
You show interest in how her day went. You want to make sure she's okay and stuff like that. It's not just bam sex. That can work for him as a
Mm-hmm.
man, but it does not work for her. She wants to be in a good place,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what is going to take for you to get more of the sex that you want when you do your homework. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that Shane and Bia is telling y'all tonight what to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
We also have a situation where there's lack of trust in the relationship. Lack of trust because I guess there was an affair at some point. There was some kind of let's say relationship that that your spouse was not comfortable with or whatever it is, and that also can cause sex to slow down in the relationship.
Mm.
So with that situation, we want to make sure that we get that sorted out. We want to make sure we cross that hurdle. Whether it is that you have to talk to somebody after you've spoken to each other, because we always say we are our best counselors. We must talk to each other first and try to solve the problem together first. That's our first step. Our first step should not be, let me go to the pastor. Let me go and seek a counsel. Let me talk to a friend at work. Our first step should be, let us discuss something together. So we have to get to the point where we get over that situation that took place so that we can take our relationship to a next level. Because as long as there is that distrust, it's going to cause a problem in the relationship where sex is concerned. You're not going to feel comfortable. You still don't trust the person. So we have to get to a place where you have to get deep into it in terms of finding a good counselor and pass that hurdle to make it better for you.
Yeah, another excerpt, and I'm going to use quite a bit of this book tonight, because as I said, this book has assisted us. If you can pick up a copy of this book, it's called The Act of Marriage. It's an old book written since 1974.
Mm-hmm.
Every significant physical activity in life is learned by practice. Why should lovemaking be different? Adult human beings possess the desire and necessary equipment to make love, but the art of lovemaking is learned. It is not innate. So it's something that has to be learned. Now, here is the ultimate goal. Many pleasurable side effects arise from lovemaking, but we should not lose sight of the fact that the ultimate objective is orgasm for both the husband and the wife. For the man, this is usually quite simple and easily detected. When sufficient stimulation is applied to the nerve endings of the gland's penis, a chain reaction is begun by creating muscular contractions in the prostate glands, forcing fluid cells through the urethra. Only then does the man relate that almost every organ and gland in his body has been through the action. The woman's orgasm is much more complex, and since she seems to be capable of several levels of climax, it is less obvious. For that reason, many young wives aren't too sure whether they've reached an orgasm or not. Just as the gentle art of love has to be learned, so must she discern by personal experience what to expect of an orgasm. Once she's achieved a high level orgasm, she no longer doubts what it is or when it occurs. And as we said, sadly, there are persons in marriages for years that have never experienced a climax in terms of an orgasm.
Especially women.
Yes, especially
And
women.
another thing too, as James recommend in this book, is not just for people who are getting into marriage. It's for married people as well.
Yes,
Because he has
more
some good
so.
insight. And a lot of times, again, as Christians, because we don't want to talk about it, because we shy away from it, we don't think that these books are necessary to begin with.
This book was written by a pastor.
Mm.
So just to let y'all know, this book was written by a pastor. So
Yep. Because to be honest, even when you go to marriage counseling, you don't get that deep into things. So you want to make sure you're prepared to go in. And as James said, it is learned. Because a lot of people say, oh, how do all Christians do it? Like when y'all don't have sex before, because you're supposed to have sex before so you can know what to do and all that thing. It's learned. It's learned over the years. You learn what the person like, what they don't like, and how you all function together.
Yeah, we didn't have sex before we got married. And I must tell you, like, there were highs, there were lows, but we battled through it. These were the stuff that helped us. Literature, getting getting to understand certain things, reading.
Nobody's there telling you.
Nobody is telling you
telling
anything.
you.
Reading, listening to programs like these, and we hope that somewhere along the line we can be able to impart to young married couples, or even those who are planning to get married. But listening to programs like these is what has helped us. And you know, we want to look at some real issues, since you're on
Look,
this one.
Sharon's
Sharon, okay.
comment.
Yeah, so just pulling up a comment on Facebook for those of you on the radio. Respect and kind words play a great role. You cannot be negative and disrespect each other and expect to have healthy sex life. We must treasure marriage and our spouse. And
Absolutely.
I'm glad that Sharon said that, because my next point, or our next point, is body insecurity. When you have a woman, or to an extent a man, that is not too confident with their body and how they look, and Sharon made an excellent point in what she said. You can't disrespect each other, because I've seen situations, or I've heard of situations rather, in which there's body shaming taking place between husband and wife. And when you have that going on, you have a situation whereby the husband or the wife is not confident, is not sure of themselves. So there's no enjoyment in sex there, because you have a situation whereby a woman would say, look, I don't want you to see me, turn off the lights, that kind of thing, because she's not confident in herself.
It's so amazing. Like, we still hear that today. That women would say, listen, when we're having sex, I don't want no light on, I don't want nobody to see me, I don't want him to see me. And it's something that the husband or the wife, based on how it's going, has to reassure that person, I love you just the way you are. I don't have a problem with you, with whatever insecurities that you have. I don't have a problem with it. And we have to keep reassuring that person, so that they get to the point of them accepting that, and especially with us as women, we tend to have all kinds of little insecurities. This is too big, this is not enough, this is, and we sometimes take that into the marriage. But it's good for the other spouse to reassure you, to let you know that, listen, I love you just the way you are. It doesn't matter how your body is. I love you and accept you just the way you are. That is why I say to young people all the time, you might have something about you that you are insecure about, but God has somebody out there that is going to love you just the way you are.
Yep.
God has somebody out there that is going to love you for so much more than that.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that, we know it's an issue. We know that couples talk about it, but we want to do our best to ensure that we are not the ones fueling that fire. If the person is already insecure, you don't want to be the one to be saying, oh, this is you should have this and this and this, and I wish, and I don't, what I don't like, I don't like situations where you have spouse talking about other celebrities. This is my ideal person. Jennifer Lopez is, you know what I mean? It puts the partner in a bad state of mind.
Yeah, talk to us about the weaponization of sex.
Oh yes.
And I often term it as witchcraft.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing. That's a big thing that men complain about a lot. Where based on his performance in terms of outside of the bedroom, if the wife is upset with him for whatever the reason is, then sex becomes a weapon for her. It's like, she may not sometimes even say it, but it's like, don't trouble me, don't touch me. I'm upset about this thing. I'm withholding.
Lockdown.
Yeah. And that should not be. That should not be at all.
And what Roxanne had mentioned, it's especially taken from our focus text that we read earlier in 1 Corinthians 7 verse 5, when it says, abstaining from sex should only be done with the consent of both of you. You said, okay, well, we're going to do some abstention because we want to do some introspection and so on, but not that the wife decides, okay, well, I'm gonna withdraw this from you because you didn't fix the toilet. You know, that kind of thing. You know, that's a no-no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So another area that persons have to be, you know, you have to look at when it comes to enjoyment of sex is children. Because I think when children come on board, especially along the line of the taking care of the children, making sure, especially when they're at a young age, when they can't really fend for themselves. And Roxanne mentioned earlier that the wife might come home and get tired. So this is when the husband can pitch in and assist with different chores, making sure that the children are taken care of, making sure the children are in bed, making sure the children are fed, making sure the children are all taken care of. So it makes it creates room. And I remember I saw Theodore made a statement earlier, which I remember that we did. It makes room. It creates that flow with the wife when you make sure that you join in and you're all a part of the process there.
Yeah, because a lot of men complain that, okay, since my wife had a baby,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the baby.
Yeah.
I get pushed on the back burner. But as James said, as a man too, you have to look at your role in the situation. Are you leaving everything up to her in terms of the child care? Are you helping as much as you can so that she is not burdened by, you know, doing everything for the child, and then you end up feeling neglected?
Yeah. Bad hygiene. And that is a big one. And
I think that's one of the things we touched on.
Yes.
When they said, I think it's too wrong.
Yes. Bad hygiene. I remember my good friend Theodore Adams had a program in which he was talking, or he was probably alive, and he was talking to men and talking to women, and that's we had a discussion. Myself and Roxanne had a discussion a few days ago, and we were talking about simple things like morning breath and coming from the gym, different aspect of turn off. And you may have a spouse who may tolerate something for a while and just holding her nose or holding his nose or just holding their breath until, and then you might get a blurt out. So as much as possible, and this is where the communication comes in, let your spouse know, give them a feedback. Listen, I think you need to work on your breath. I think you need to work on your, what do you call it? How you just say armpit?
Body order. Body order.
Body order. I wanted to put it over in the best possible term. But those are things. You come from the gym, you come on, you jump on the bed, and you want to romp, and I mean, those things are turn off, and you have to make sure that you get that personal hygiene in place. I don't know how the children do it now, but sometimes I pass some young boys and young girls, and I could smell them. And we started even with our children in the home. Like sometimes the boys would be running around and would be sweating out, and you could smell that the perspiration high. So we start them on deodorant. So even before they leave home, you put on deodorant, you brush your teeth, you do this, you do that. Make sure that they take care of that aspect of it. Because once they start to practice proper hygiene, they will go into relationships having that hygiene thing in place. So if the hygiene is bad, and that is something that a husband or a wife has been living with, that is something that can be a killer when it comes to sexual relations, and they have to talk about it.
And we have to, yeah, we have to be mature enough to talk about it. Because if you are the one that is being told, you know, you probably need to work on this, you cannot be upset. You cannot get to the point of being upset because they are coming to you. They're coming to you to tell you that they're not going out there to tell somebody else. They're telling you, and you have to be mature enough to say, listen, I'm going to work on this because I want to make sure that my spouse is comfortable. I want to make sure that our relationship is functioning the way it should. And it's not going to function the way it should if you are continuing doing something and you feel nothing wrong with that, or I'm offended because you told me this. No. We have to make sure that whatever is said, we take it in stride, and we're working on improving each other. Because your partner, as we always say, one of the reasons why we get offended sometimes is because we are looking at our partner as an opponent. But if we look at our partner as somebody who's on the same team, you know, want the best for us, want to make sure that when we go out there that we are, nobody else has to tell us something, we would take it in the right way and use it as a tool to do better.
Yep.
Rather than getting upset.
Yep. I like the point that Sharon made, and it's something from a personal standpoint. I'm glad she put it out publicly, because it's something that can help. If we have good relationship, hygiene can be a team effort. My armpit was created some issues, and my husband researched a deodorant that can help, and he brought Loom body deodorant, and it helps. It should not be shameful if done in love, and that's an excellent point.
Yeah.
You know, that's an excellent
Don't
point.
Don't take it as your partner is fighting against you.
Yeah.
You know, it's all for your betterment, and it's all for the team effort.
Yes.
The team betterment.
Next point is low.
Low libido, and that
I can't really say the word.
That
I can't pronounce the word properly.
Low libido, and that happens a lot with women as well. Women as well, as we get, especially as we get older in age, our sex drive, you know, goes down a little, and that is something that causes us not to have as much sex or enjoy sex as much as the husband probably would. But there are things that we can do always to help in every situation that we're going through. If we just get to the point of we live in a society where research is right there at our fingertips. There are things that we can do to improve, and there are things that our partner can do to help us to improve as well. So we want to make sure that we tap into the resources that are there to help us to be better.
I mean, Roxanne spoke about it from the women's point of view, but also from the men's point of view. And it says research shows that impotence is increasing at an alarming rate. And it says the sex drive in a man reaches its strongest peak between ages 18 and 22. And from that time, it began to taper off slowly. So slowly, in fact, that most men fail to notice it until their mid or late 40s, and may not detect it until in their 60s. The first time a man has difficulty maintaining an erection or is unable to ejaculate, his malady soon run out of control. Within an amazingly short time, he has convinced himself that he is losing his manhood. And this is one of the areas also that that persons get to the point whereby they're not enjoying sex. Now, one of the areas I've always said, and I said it last week, just in passing. You have sometimes a man tells himself that he is supposed to be running around with every young girl and doing every so often. Now, this is research done, and this is research understanding that your sex drive is at its peak between the ages of 18 and 22, and after that time it starts to decline. So as much as possible, that's why I said you know, when I am, or when Roxanne is done with me, where can I go? So the bottom line is, sex cannot become enjoyable for someone who has a low libido. I said that right? or who is in the situation whereby he is becoming impotent. A man is starting to become impotent.
Um, Sexual abuse, and that's a very serious one. There are situations where you have couples who either one of them had some kind of sexual abuse taking place in their life prior. And if they don't get the help that they need, if they don't get that therapy that they need to get them out of that spot, that is going to come back to affect the relationship and their sex life in their marriage, because they just can't see sex as something as enjoyable, because what sex was used for or what happened to them causes them to think that sex is bad, is something that robbed me of something. So in their mind, it's a bad thing. Downright a bad thing. So going into the relationship, all those things would have to be on the table. We don't want to get into a relationship and then we're telling our husband or our wife, this is why I am functioning this way, because this thing happened to me. That in particular is something that has to be put on the table from the get-go, and help has to be had for them to get beyond that, because it's going to come back.
Yes, and I'm glad that Roxanne mentioned that and mentioned the point of getting help, because with sexual abuse it's not an easy thing. And I remember I commented on a post, and it's always important for us to put things into perspective, because if you enter into a relationship that with somebody that has been sexually abused, whether it's in a previous relationship or even sexually abused as a child, you would have that person on edge, whereby they would just kick out just at any sign of anything that looks like abuse. It might not even be that. It might just have the appearance. So getting to understand beforehand, listen, I am going to walk you through this process. Or if it's a situation whereby we cannot manage it together, let's see if we get outside help. That is very, very, very important.
Yes. And as Joel says, a man's self-esteem plays a huge role in that too as well.
Yep.
And we have to do our best to take care of ourselves, especially as we age. We have to do more to make sure we take care of ourselves, because everything in terms of our sex life and so on has to do with how healthy we are.
Listen, let me tell you something. When we were growing up, and I think Theodore can bear witness, because Theodore worked in the bauxite plant. When we were growing up and you had conversations with big men, and I probably was about 15 or 16, and when they talk about certain things and they talk about what their sexual prowess, and you say, what, these men are good, and when you get to that age and you realize the man were lying, and when you're talking to a young boy and you're telling him about your sexual prowess and how many women you have conquered in one night, and when the young boy gets to a certain age and you realize after one woman all that you can do is sleep, and he realizes these men have been lying. So when you have a situation whereby you can come and you can get the truth from programs like these, from programs like Joel's, from programs that we hear on different medium, and you get to understand what's going on, then the ignorance of what they have told you, you realize what they said didn't make sense. You understand? So
we need to have more men who are willing to mentor as well. Because just like we said, when we were getting married, there was no counseling in terms of nobody getting deep into things to tell you anything. Everything is just, okay, y'all are going to have some issues, but you have to work together and so on. But nobody is willing to dive into these things. So we need situations where we have mentor, men and women, who are taking young men and young women under their wings and saying, listen, especially when they're engaged and so on, getting ready for marriage. This is what it's all about.
Yes.
This is what to expect. This is how you deal with it. Instead of everybody thinking everything is taboo and like allowing everybody to figure things out on their own.
Yeah, because realistically, and I've spoken to young couples, and as I said, when you grow up in church and you have two young people getting married, um, taken off by themselves, they've not been spoken about, even in talking about children, they've not been spoken about nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just going into the wilderness blindly without no kind of equipment. I believe that the Bible says, "For lack of knowledge, my people perish," and knowledge in every
Every
aspect,
aspect.
persons can perish if you don't understand something. Ask something, ask some questions, and I can get and I can understand why when you were growing up, persons were very skeptical of having discussions like this. I could understand that,
Mm-hmm.
but
We shouldn't be in this thing.
yeah, we have to make sure that we do things in such a way that you said, okay, well, I've assigned XYZ to deal with the issue of marriage, to deal with the issue of counseling. So you don't have any and everybody talking to persons
Mm.
about certain things, because you can't trust certain things with everyone. So it's a situation whereby we want to make sure that even on this program we have um, the information bringing to you, and we can communicate with each other. Yeah.
I had one young lady tell me one time, years ago, she said, Roxanne, I don't love sex.
Mm,
She said, I hear all women talking about this, I hear men talking about it, and she said, I've never enjoyed it.
mm,
And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, I don't like it. She said, something, I don't know if something's wrong with me. I didn't go into details with her, so she didn't mention any trauma or anything, but she said she don't like it. She don't enjoy it. She said she just does it because at the time she had a guy, but she said she just does it. She just have sex with him, but she's not enjoying it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I felt so sorry for her
mm,
because it's like you're doing something and it has become like I'm just doing it to make him happy.
mhm.
I'm just doing it because it's what he wants, and but I don't like it. And that is one of the rarest things I've ever come across. But there are people out there, as rare as it is, that just don't like sex. So that is one of the reasons why they don't do it as much, and that also affects the relationship. And again, that is a conversation that should have taken place before getting into marriage.
And it comes back to what we started when we started our program, and it could be a situation whereby this young lady must have had a negative experience, a negative first experience with sex, that when it comes to sex, she just sees it as something maybe dirty, or sees it as something not pleasurable.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can look at it and say, okay, well, this is something I'm getting some pleasure out of, then it might be a different situation. But she's looking at it as, okay, well, this is a bad experience. That's it. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Mm.
But Roxanne can't say the same thing.
Can't say the same thing.
No, Roxanne love
One of the things I think that we don't talk about as much, and a lot of women mention it, and there's actually a condition. It's actually a condition, and it's a condition called pelvic floor dysfunction. Pelvic floor, pelvic floor dysfunction is when the muscles at the base of the pelvis don't relax normally. And
Mm,
that is something that happens to some women. And because of it, it causes sex to be painful for her.
mhm,
Sex should not be painful, but it causes sex to be painful for her. And she may not understand why she's feeling this. Because everybody's saying to her, no, it should be pleasurable, it should be good. But she is experiencing pain. And that might be something that she has to look into. So if you're a woman and you're experiencing pain during sex, it may be something that you have to talk to your doctor about, because that might be an issue there as well.
Yes. You know, we want to, as always, use our platform that God has blessed us with, and you know, share with each and every one of you. They say our song is gone. I wonder if it's, let me see something with your song.
Check. Let me know if you can hear me. Anybody who is on, let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear feedback from my song, but I don't know. You can hear Roxanne also,
Okay.
Natasha.
Okay, Lee said he can hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So
all right.
Louisa, you might have to check your sound.
Louisa, something is wrong with your song. Yeah. All right. So everybody's hearing. Yeah. So we wanna make sure that we use this platform that God has blessed us with, and we want to share and interact with each other. I, you know, like one of the our biggest concerns, you know, and this is why our program is also called Crossing the Line. One of our biggest concern is that we don't want to ever get to the point whereby we are guilty of not sharing what we have learned over the years, and this is not something that we pick up and we run with. It's something that we've learned. It's something that we've interacted. 18 years of marriage, and you know, I think we've picked up some things along the line, and we share with each and every one of you. But I want to say to those of you who are listening, especially those of you who are married, marriage is a wonderful thing. Sex in marriage is even glorious. As I've always said to you, I don't even know why when I was growing up, they tell us you need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. And let me tell you something. When you reach a climax in sex, it's like the Holy Spirit and more. It's like heaven came down and glory filled my soul. So when you have a good sexual relationship with your wife or with your husband, for those of you who are married, it's such a beautiful thing. It's such an excellent thing. I mean, you can speak in unknown tongues.
And the thing is, if you are not fulfilled, if you don't feel like you're there, you need to have that conversation. Have that conversation with your spouse. And even if you think that everything is going well, it's always good to do checkups.
Absolutely.
Don't ever think like we have everything down pat. It's always good to have checkups. Find out from your spouse if everything is okay. Am I doing things the way you like, and so on? Is there anywhere that I can improve? And don't take things personally. Whatever it is, even as we spoke about tonight with hygiene and so on, don't take things personally, because you're on the same team. You're all in it to help each other and to build each other. That's what relationship and marriage is all about.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to take things personally, you're not going to move forward. So we want to take every thing that we take as criticism as help, so that we can be better.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure at the end of the day, we're in marriages, and as we always say, we are not for long years. We're not for, I'm married for 50 years, I'm married for 40 years. We have to be enjoying those years.
Yes.
We're not in for the, oh, I'm married for 25, 50 years, and you live half of that or more of that unhappy and miserable. We want our marriages to be happy, to be healthy, and we want to make sure that we're doing that by communicating constantly and doing checkups on our marriage to make sure that everything is going as it should.
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, that's all the time we have left. If we stay on for too long, then the engines wouldn't run. So, y'all know we're out of here. Thank you for connecting with us.
I see
Thank you,
Corinne.
Corinne. Corinne, good evening. You docked in late, but you could go back and look. And
Michael James talking tongues
Michael
over
talking
here.
in tongues. Lee saying that you can speak in tongues and interpret also. So, Cheryl and Raul and
Natasha,
Louisa and
Erica. I see Tarika was on as well.
yes,
Saying it's a hot topic.
yes. And
Theodore, thank you for your participation tonight as well.
yes, I see Shaquilla was on, Amanda and Oswin and Ezra and Dawn,
Tiffany,
and I saw some
Sherilyn
others.
and Joel as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Ronaldo and Joel and Hollis,
Shane
my cousin
and
Hollis, and
Shane and Beer.
yeah, I see Rennie to peep in a little bit
And
earlier.
Sharon. You said Sharon, right?
Yes, I said Sharon
Yeah.
and Wilson. Thank you for connecting with us. God bless you all. We're going to be back next week. Oh, next week we have a hot one for y'all. I have a we have a couple and their children, couple that I have known for many years. They've been married for 30 years. They're going to be on with us next week, and you know we're gonna have a time. I you know, like this is lovely. This is always lovely. It's always a good thing to connect with y'all. God bless you all. I don't see Casmin. What happened to Casmin?
Casmin was in and
Casmin reminded me that that Saeed is always online too. So Saeed, good evening and thank you for connecting with us. God bless you all.
Good night. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes.
Bye.
It's weekend already, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Elkie said probably Casmin in jail, you know, Casmin.
Yes.
Thank you.